Welcome to Bits and Pieces in my second week of January 2022. This is my lunch I packed the night before with pierogies and my breakfast with peanut butter on toast. Okay, this is my weekly grocery shopping trip. I spent $11.72 at Aldi. The splurge was the sliced chicken deli meat. It was $1.05. I know it says $2.99 on there, but they had it discounted. You'll see here for $1.05. I got the almond milks for $1.79. The 10 pounds of potatoes were $2.99. That will last a while. I got the onions for the $1.49. I got a can of corn for 43 cents. Another dozen eggs for $1.29 because I need to make mayonnaise. And, well, the eldest kid is still here, so I'll probably be cooking a frittata this weekend. And the split peas, I got those. I've never actually made a split pea soup before, but I've got a ham in my freezer. Figured I'd give it a try. So that's everything. I'm hoping to go to a potluck tomorrow and probably do roasted potatoes with some of the pesto sauce I have in the freezer. Yeah, that's it all. We'll see how this, how much groceries this makes. I still have some of the free bread that, bread products that the neighbor had brought me over the last week, and then a lot of things in my pantry. And I haven't touched the cereal I got from the No Buy group yet. That will probably be eaten by the kids for breakfast this coming week. Alrighty, let's see how this goes. And by the way, with last week's purchase, I'm up to about $26 and some change total. I'll post my total for the month at the end of the video. So I had onions and apples from when I cooked a ham at Christmas that I had put away. I decided to make a gravy with that with some cornstarch and a little bit of ham I had left over. Added some water to thin it out. It's a little salty, but other than that, it was pretty good. Served it over some rice I'd cooked up with a little bit of chicken broth for a lunch. And then I found this in the fridge. I did not buy it, not sure where it came from. It was quite yummy. Then I started working on a hash for breakfast the next day. Is sweet potatoes. You'll notice I'm putting everything in my little container to stick in the freezer for working more broth. So the sweet potatoes and russets and onions and sweet peppers, a little bit of chorizo. Sauteed that up in some olive oil. And the chorizo, which is treated more like a seasoning. And then I added some eggs, fried those hard for the boy, and then fried them up soft for me. Okay, so this is breakfast. It's a hash I did chorizo this time. Now the eldest kid likes his eggs with no run to the yolk. I like my yolks very soft. Let's see how those turned out. Very excited. Oh, it's beautiful. Perfect. Very happy. That is one of my favorite breakfasts. And I got my seeds in. Very excited from Baker Creek. So I wasn't recording. So I've got I've made the mayonnaise. It was the last little bit of mayonnaise in there. It's kind of a pain in the rear to get out. So I'm going to make a Thousand Island dressing. In there I've put in a tablespoon of white vinegar, 2 teaspoons of sweet relish, a half teaspoon of salt, little packets of ketchup that I needed to use up, and a little bit of minced onion and some black pepper. And that's about it. And that tablespoon of vinegar will help thin this out, and it'll be easier to get the bits of mayonnaise out so I don't waste any. Yes, I am that bad about food waste. Or at least that careful. Let's go with that. So, going back to the time lapse, so we are not going to have to listen to that blender. And here we have Thousand Island dressing and some mayonnaise. And so now I'm getting ready for potluck. I'm peeling some carrots, once again going into my broth container. And then I'm going to start cutting those up. You will note in the background I've got some rosemary that I harvested from my yard. And then some potatoes. All that's getting cut up and put into casserole dishes. And some onion. I've got one for the house and one for the potluck because the kids are going to be at the house. And then on top of that gets layered the rosemary from the garden, and they are then put in the oven. There's all my scraps being turned into broth. And then I made myself a sandwich for lunch to get me through. And you'll note I replaced the ugly rosemary with the pretty, and then broth that I made. And there's the scraps that are going in the compost. And then next day for lunch, we're having the pea soup. So I've got cutting up a carrot and celery and some garlic cloves, starting a new broth box. And there's all that going in with the peas and a ham bone. And there's the ham bone being shredded of all the meat. And there's the meat getting chopped up to go into the thing. And then I'm going to make a frittata for me and the kids for breakfast now that the soup is in the Instapot cooking for lunch. This is our Sunday morning breakfast. I've got a mushroom left over from making the pierogies. And the sweet peppers, a couple of leaves of spinach that did not die with the latest cold snap, some onion, some bacon grease for the thing, some leftover egg from doing the egg wash for the pierogies, a little bit of milk, and some sour cream from making the pierogi filling. Some fresh herbs from the garden. And there is my frittata pre-cooked, and there it is cooked. And there it is with some of the challah bread that we got from the neighbor. And then my tea with some of the lemon juice that I'd done. And no buy group bonuses. And then the ex-bought curry for the kid. And then we still had dough and filling from pierogies, so I started making more so that the stuff did not go to waste. And oh my gosh, the pierogies were good. I didn't make the mix. That was my youngest child. And pea soup and pierogies for lunch. And then the leftover broth went into things to be frozen. They're 1-cup containers. Got that from Aldi. And then lunch was sandwich, and then ice cream with some cookie crumbs on top for dessert. And I decided I needed to make some alfalfa sprouts. That is what my freezer looks like. By the way, there's the top drawer and the bottom drawer. And there's the pantry. And the bottom of the pantry. And the door of the pantry. And what should be my tea cabinet and appliances, but is everything. And then I had breakfast for Monday morning was bagel and peanut butter. And then I made a mocha. And then later that day I had a hot tea, as did the youngest child. Lunch was pea soup and pierogies. And then dinner was a pesto from some of the pesto I had in the freezer. Took out 2 of the little bags and just broke them up into a bowl. Started cooking pasta and made a garlic bread with some of the bread I got from the neighbor. It was real simple. I just did it on a broil on low. And then I cut up onion and mushroom and sauteed that to go with the pesto. And then just added the hot pasta on top, adding a little bit of pasta water as needed to kind of thin it out. And added some breadcrumbs and nutritional yeast. And that was our dinner. And then Monday morning was a farina and coffee. And then lunch was once again pea soup and pierogies. Ate a lot of that. And I'm going to regret this, but I thawed bananas for banana bread. So I needed to get those out of the freezer. And then dinner that night was tacos. So I drained some beans and cut up an onion and some peppers. And I don't show the cooking of the beans, but I cooked up beans with some of the onions and peppers, and the rest went into the leftover rice I had with some corn and salsa and a little bit of canned tomato. So I put that in there with the I sauteed up just some of the peppers and onions and used that as a topping with some of this micro kale that I had in the thing. Then my neighbor brought that. Lots of sweets and bread, and I'd already started the banana bread, which the banana bread was quite lovely. It was chocolate chip banana bread. The kids loved it. I used some Teff flour that I got from the No Buy group. Some of that bread got turned into breadcrumbs right away. And next morning, I used the carrot flax muffin for my breakfast that I got from the neighbor with coffee. My lunch was the leftover pierogi filling with these little toasts that I got from the neighbor. And at this point, I need to admit, maybe my thing is not so much to empty my pantry, so much to try to spend as little as I can and stay out of the grocery stores. And then I had a pie. And that was my week. Well, then, we had a sandwich with chips, the leftover mini tortillas. And used some of the bread from the neighbor. And the last of that chicken from Aldi's. And some of the pepper mix I'd made as a salsa. And some of the pie that the neighbor had brought. The kids were very excited about all the desserts. And once again, another one of the muffins for breakfast and my coffee. I found this falafel mix in my pantry. I had just a little bit left. And so I mixed it up and set it aside. because it needs to rest a while before you cook it. And I proceeded to make myself a tuna sandwich for lunch. Once again, saving my scraps. And my tuna salad, by the way, is mostly vegetable, with all the onion and celery and a little bit of, and then I used all the mayonnaise I'd made. Served it up on that free bread. And the micro kale and some lettuce. And the leftover hash from the weekend. And the neighbor had also brought some of this lemon hummus, which was very good. It went very well with the falafels and the little toasts that he had brought. And I decided to end my week with hot cocoa and a peppermint stick from Christmas. It was very good. And I spent a total of $26.76 so far for the month of January.